Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. Please join us over at rivianstories.com for all the latest Rivian news. Maybe pick up yourself a t-shirt while you're there. Thanks. So we first want to talk about the R1T versus the R1S, which has been shared about driving dynamics and the difference out there. We'll give our firsthand experience feedback to that. I also want to talk about Ocean Coast, which I was in. Skylar, what are you driving right now? The configuration.
So forest green R1T with the dark 20s. Oh, love those. And
Ooh, wow.
forest
Yeah.
edge interior. So forest on forest.
Nice.
I would love to see Forest Edge again. I saw it in a picture when I was looking for some B-roll over the weekend. I'm like, oh man, is it as beautiful as you remember, Skylar?
Oh yeah. No, the wood still is amazing. The wife and I went to lunch and took the R1T, and I was like, so I asked her what she thought about it. And she said, it's nice, but I don't know that I'd want to live with it every day, was her comment.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy, tell us about this R1S.
So my folks took delivery of their limestone Black Mountain Bright 22s R1S a few weeks back. We just had another Florida Rivian Club meetup on Saturday. About 20 vehicles. 4 of them were R1Ss. Limestone, Midnight, Glacier White, and Rivian Blue. Yeah, long story really short, it ended up being a crazy weekend after Saturday, and too much life stuff going on for me to worry about driving that truck. So I did not.
Gotcha. Driving that
Yeah.
SUV.
Correct, driving that SUV. Yeah, my not to make this I'm not trying to make this a sad story, but my grandfather was in the hospital. He's been in the hospital. He actually passed away this morning at 10:45.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Jimmy.
Yeah, so 96 years young, had a great life. Uh, a bunch of us were able to see him over the last couple of days, so it was a good trip. Ended up being a good trip, but while I got to see the R1S, I did not.
96 years is a great life, but it is never, ever easy.
No.
Yep.
So, but yeah, all that to say, there was a lot more going on that, while Rivian is a lot of my life right now, there's more to life than Rivian.
Amen to that.
So,
Yeah.
I did not drive the R1S, so I will make, sure that next time I am down,
Mhm.
that happens.
Yeah. Well, we're sorry again for the loss. To come back to actually driving, Skylar, you're driving a truck. What have you noticed? Have you noticed anything?
Yeah, without a doubt. Suspension seems, feels softer, smoother in the rear. I feel like the front suspension is about the same now on both. And I will say that after the last OTA, the R1S suspension did get better with regards to comfort, softness. It's not quite as harsh in the rear over very specific types of bumps. So like sharp bumps, if that makes sense. That's the only place that I've noticed it, but it it's better, but the truck is still better than that. The other thing that I did notice is that so the truck that I'm driving right now has the setting to kneel when it goes into park. And without a doubt, having the air compressor for the suspension further away and actually back in the bed instead of inside the cabin of the SUV, I still hear it, but it's not as loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a big difference for sure. And I agree, Skylar. Right when I got into the T at the Rivian Service Center in Normal, so the plant, just going down that normal road, it was immediately smoother over kind of smaller bumps, if that makes sense. Those things just didn't react as much. And it was not significant to where it was like, oh my gosh, but it was noticeable. I mean, pretty unmistakable that there's a tuning difference, which is interesting. But as far as big stuff, I don't think I noticed it as much, you know?
Right.
So
And
weird to kind of say it that way, but I don't know if that makes sense.
it it does. It totally makes sense to me because it's, on par with my observations. I would just caution people, don't freak out. The R1S suspension is still great. And I would consider it kind of rare circumstances when I even ever feel a little bit of that harshness in the rear end, but it is there from time to time. But don't freak out. It's not a big
Hmm.
deal.
Yeah, don't freak out. It's not a big deal. Don't lose heart. Also, because the flip side to that is after driving the R1T for 3 days, I was actually ready to get back and drive the S. And I can't really describe it much other than to say the S is a little bit more fun to drive. I would imagine that has to do with like the turning radius and just maybe how it handles in general with turns. But I'm not a professional driver. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I would still say that I maybe have a little bit more fun driving the S, and that's just the only way I can think of how to phrase it.
I I haven't tried to have fun driving the T because the only time that I've driven R1Ts has been driving other people's R1Ts, not, one of my own. So
Well, it'll be interesting, Skylar. If Do you know how long you're going to have the T?
I should have my R1S back tomorrow.
So the reason I asked that is because it would be interesting if you were in the T for a little longer, 3 or 4 days. And of course, when I was in the T that I had as a loaner, I was doing quite a bit of driving just with the work and whatnot. And it'd be interesting when you come back if you just kind of notice, even from day to day driving, if there's a little fun factor difference. Because at the beginning, I had more fun driving the T because it was all new, it was just, oh, yeah, you're kind of feeling the new feels. But after a few days, I was ready to get back into the S. Also ready because the other second thing, not ready, but the second thing I was looking at going back into my S was coming back into the dark interior, so Black Mountain. So in my rental, I was in Ocean Coast, which is my dream pairing for El Cap, which I have. And it was beautiful. I remember snapping a selfie and sending it to you guys. Really, really great. The surprising things to me, and these probably won't be much of a surprise. The first thing is when you are looking out from the front, it is virtually identical because even in Black Mountain and Ocean Coast, the material above the wood dash is still dark in both. The only thing you really see is a different steering wheel. And then, of course, the headliner is light in Ocean Coast and it's dark in Black Mountain. But compared to the light outside, you don't really see it much there. Like, I don't really see the A pillar. Does that make sense? That's not really impacting or affecting my overall vibe or whatever. It's only until you look to the side or look in your rear view, it's like, oh, wow, it's so bright in here.
Right.
And so the other surprise, or what I'll give it to you guys, as far as you've mentioned kind of that cozy feeling with the dark interior, I totally see where you guys are coming from now and appreciate it in a brand new way. You know what I mean? The other trick that the white interior, that the Ocean Coast interior has, is at night. It is so cool when it's dark and the lights come on inside. If that makes sense. Like it looks so cool. It looks sexy to see those white seats in the dark, lit up. So it's like a party trick. But Julie got to see the Ocean Coast interior and did not say that she would not want to live with it. She loved it. She absolutely loved the light interior. So, yeah.
And
It's pretty
so at the end of the day,
cool. I'll give you
that's
that, but it's not.
yeah. So that is still your jam. You're not gonna walk back and say, I really like Black Mountain now.
Correct. Exactly. Honestly, I like Black Mountain, obviously, but I still want to see Forest Edge again. I still think that Forest Edge is my favorite. I saw a picture of that wood, but for the El Cap, I would still choose Ocean Coast.
Yeah.
For that pairing. So for El Cap, I still would choose Ocean Coast inside as like the chef's kiss combo for Kyle anyway. But many of the other colors, of which you just mentioned, Skylar, I love Forest Edge or Forest Green rather as an exterior for the SUV and the truck. Heck, I even love Launch Green. I'm surprised how much I like Launch Green for the R1S exterior. And either one of those, I would totally be going with Forest Edge inside. Because it's just so, it's a little bit of best of both worlds. It kind of has that cozy factor, but also the uniqueness factor, whereas that white Ocean Coast it's a showstopper just at the very beginning. Like it kind of catches more eyes, like, ooh, and I think Forest Edge does that a little bit too. And then Black Mountain is just the sleeper to where it just grows on you, and it just gets better with time, honestly. As far as for me, it's really grown on me a lot. All right, that's all for this one. We have more coming, so please subscribe. In the meantime, we hang out at rivianstories.com. Click on shop, find yourself a t-shirt. Thanks so much for your support.